like diamond debuff on anti.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cracked Media Singles number 7 of season 1. CJ Zephyr here with Quang, losing his mind. Got cheated by the video game that he was playing. And I will let you know that these players playing tonight won't get cheated by MultiVersus because it's a game about skill. It's a game about opportunity and for the strongest player on the day to take the win. Isn't that right, CJ?
It's going to be very, very interesting. We do have a little bit of admin to go over before we start. It has come to our attention that Marcelin has some form of infinite loop going on, and a lot of the community online has been up in arms about it a little bit. So for this week, it is the decision of the game masters that Marcelin will be banned. Whilst we wait for that to sort of get fixed out. Just for the comfort of the players and all that jazz. But we have a lot going on. I am still currently getting the page up because my computer is very slow right now. But I'm very, very excited to be here once again.
I'm excited for you to be here too. I'm not gonna lie, CJ, as much as I enjoy casting with all the other people in the world for various games, I feel like you and I have this synergy that it is one-sided, probably, but is unmatched by any commentating duo. Uh, and I think of it as like unrequited love. That would assume if I say unrequited love, I feel like that assumes that one day you will love me, and I don't think that's the case.
uh,
But you know what? We can be hopeful. We can be jovial, and I love you, CJ.
we will just have to wait and see how that goes, unfortunately, Quang. Commitments are interesting right now. What is also very, very interesting is we have a stacked bracket. We've got a lot of matches for everybody this evening. We have some very interesting returning names this week. To give you guys a little bit of the rundown of our roster, a rapid roster rundown, if you will. We've got, in no particular order apart from the order of the list I have, Jim Jamal, Fixer, Alex26, Toby, Saint Milkman, Zoru2K, Snarks Remarks, Bad Boy Ray, we've got Vakoda, we've got I Sweat a Lot, good to know. We've got Karma's TTK, we've got Alien BMO, we've got Moises, Gorify, Icy Go Burr, Huck to a Carry. We love having Carry back. We've got Mots, Brian Yeefler, Coco, Callow Fox, Chinadior, and Eris ready to go. And it looks like we are going to be starting off with Vakoda. Oh, maybe no. I'm seeing a different name on the screen. We've got I Spread a Lot versus it's that big rat, I believe. It's very hard to read with the resolution
Yeah,
I have right now. Big
I
rat is the
will.
code I'm being told.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as far as sweats go, this is definitely a game that requires a lot of sweating because you're running around the map. You need to be careful of getting hit. You're doing laps, and these players are trying to do laps around each other. Now, we are going into a little bit of a zoner versus zoner matchup. We have the Marvin versus the Tom and Jerry. We see a little heart coming out immediately out of it as Jerry gets launched ahead to start the celebration with a little bit of champagne. But turret is activated, which means those rockets are going to be launched out, and you can see a little bit of damage already accumulating on the Tom and Jerry, already at 55 points of damage, trying to fight back onto the Marvin, but not finding a good opening quite yet.
Marvin Martian is a character we've seen a little bit more recently. We did not see them very much at all in the off season. So it is very interesting to see his kit being used to full effect here. Tom and Jerry doing a very, very good job of trying to maintain that sort of central stage control. The UFO being set up, those projectiles there, causing a little bit of mayhem all across the field. Floating platforms are going to re-establish, but Marvin has also done a very good job here of preventing Tom and Jerry from sort of being able to maximize their kit. Obviously, you split Tom and Jerry apart. It does nullify them a little bit, but a costly elimination at the early stages of this tournament here from Marvin the Martian. As Tom and Jerry now at a very, very high heat level, desperately trying to stay alive. They are going to be eliminated as well. Marvin's only at 18 heat, so it's still pretty even as we reach the 5-minute 30 mark.
Yeah, you're gonna see here. One of the things about Marvin that's a little bit unique to him compared to a lot of other MultiVersus characters is that, unlike most characters, you are actually confirming into those projectile hits. Those rocket hits are really how Marvin's gonna look for a lot of these KOs. Of course, there are strong normals, those melee attacks that Marvin can activate, but needing to zone out his character or his opponent using the character's kit can be difficult, especially when you're up against a Tom and Jerry, as we see, honestly, the big rat closing out another stock. 84, 90 points of damage. Marvin trying really hard to not take extra poke, but going up against another zoner like Tom and Jerry, it does become difficult. 20 points is not bad, though.
20 points isn't bad at all. We're in a very similar situation as we were going into the second set of lives for both of these guys. Vokoda has done an incredible job of establishing his momentum, however, and is able to juggle Marvin very, very efficiently, as you saw just there. I'm setting up the UFO a little bit, trying... when you're going up against someone like Tom and Jerry with a very chaotic kit, you do really need to try and control your space as best as possible. He's done a decent job of doing so, but he's taken a lot of damage in the process. Now at 100, and there is the elimination. Vokoda's going to take round 1 for this series. Very, very clean.
I will say, doing a really good job of using kind of Tom as a not Tom, Jerry, the rat, the mouse. Doing a really good job of kind of keeping Marvin busy the whole time. I really feel like I Sweat a Lot needs to do a slightly better job of positioning himself where he can deal with Tom and Jerry on the same side when he's starting to get his setup up. It's a little bit hard with characters like Jerry, with characters like honestly kind of like Morty, where you kind of, there's so much going on the screen that once you start getting through all of it, it becomes really confusing and you start just getting hit by random hits. But we see here immediately Marvin able to getting KO on the rat and gets a lot of damage on Tom. Now we need to see what he can do with the damage and if he can keep up the advantage here. Summons the rockets. Remember, those rockets do follow Marvin, not the opponent. Ooh. Taking a pretty big hit to the face by hugging the spaceship, that UFO there. But doing a really good job as soon as an opening opened up. Dealing the damage, hitting Marvin over and over again, and our big rat here gets the first stock.
Very, very nicely done from Vokoda, the big rat, who now continues to juggle Marvin, doing a lot of... They're already up to 58, 63. We've seen those ignite stacks slowly sort of chip away that health further and further. Finally, Marvin is taking advantage of an opening, is going to try and go for the elimination, but hit by the dynamite, but was able to hit with the downward spike and secure the stock finally in his favor. Vokoda now 1 stock down, but it's done an incredible job of keeping Marvin very, very tender, gets a beautiful elimination here as Marvin tries to realign and set up that UFO. Again, trying to use those rockets to the best of his advantage. He's not been getting a lot of value from them, unfortunately. He does get the occasional hit. There is a little bit of splash, but
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry has been able to completely maintain control of this series. As I Sweat a Lot is starting to get a little bit of pushback, but Tom and Jerry is able to stay alive.
Yeah, it really feels like our big rat here is getting a lot more off of each hit than Marvin's able to. Now, gets 1 or 2 hits off of it, 20, 30 points of damage. But we can see here that Tom gets stage presence, is able to set up a little bit more each time that he gets a hit. Luckily, Marvin able to find that spike once again, getting the stock count even. He can work with that. Marvin has the possibility of getting a lot of damage without having to commit too much. But it really depends on the movement of the Marvin. And you can see here getting caught by a straight down attack. And with the arc of the mouse, Big Rat, aka what is it?
Vokodo.
Vokodo. I was gonna say Vacosta, and I know that was gonna be wrong. But Vokoda taking game 2, closing it out 2-0. Well played from Vokoda. Really controlled game is kind of the big takeaway that I have from that. Honestly, it's a difficult situation when you have just projectiles everywhere, yours, his, ours, just being thrown around.
No, it can be very, very difficult to sort of maintain control of the space with kits like that. Very well done for to Vokoda for being as cool, calm, and collected as they were as they move on to the round 2 matchup, in which they are going to be facing Gorify. So very much good luck to you on that front. Elsewhere on the bracket, we are going to have other round 2 matches like Eris and Ginger Mole, I believe. That's how that's pronounced. We're just waiting for them to check in and get ready to go. Flacoco is going up against Alex26, who's able to beat Toby in a 2-0 sweep. Very, very well done. And we've got Kal-El Fox currently in a fight with Trinardior. Trinardior being a point up. So very, very nice. It's very rare for you to be sort of in the driver's seat in a match against Kal-El. So we will hope to see just how far they're willing to take that. Elsewhere, Zoru and Saint Milkman is still underway. Snart Remarks and Bad Boy Ray is still underway. And Karmas versus Alien is also still underway. As you can see the bracket here, we are seeing more and more progress. We do very much emphasize, if you are finishing up your matches or if you are checking into your matches, to try and keep yourself as up to date as you can. We're trying to keep everything going as smoothly as possible. It also looks like down below in the lower brackets, we could be seeing Toby going up against Icy Gobert, who is a fan favorite here on Crap Media. So very much good luck to the both of them.
It does look like we are going into Eris versus Jim Jamal next. Eris being one of my favorite players to watch. Between you and me, I love watching the bugs go crazy.
It's been a while since we've seen Eris. I'm curious to see if there's been any evolution in their
you've seen
playstyle.
it. Just to see it. Oh no, there was evolution last time I saw. But also in winners round 2, we have Flacoco going up against Alex26XD. Flacoco having a great showing last week at Platfight, one of the MultiVersus IRL majors, as I'm getting attacked by my little baby cat who is not a baby. And I need to get out of the way, as you can probably see. Yes, we have possibly a Powerpuff Girl Ditto.
I believe we have a mirror match here. Oh no, there
Ooh.
is going to be a switch up. I think. Oh,
Oh, oh,
they're
oh.
hovering a lot here. Could
We're
be
our
seeing a Batman. Could
My
be
heart
seeing
is
a
being
switch.
played with.
This production desperately tries to keep the overlay up to date. It does look like we're going to see a lock on the Batman. So Batman versus Powerpuff Girls. Again, Batman is one we don't see as often as you think.
Surprising too, is considering a lot of this game's life, Batman has been one of the best characters in both singles and doubles. That being said, Powerpuff Girls can be really difficult for Batman to get in. Batman has a couple of really important tools. One of the best projectiles in the game with the Batarang, and which can lay a bomb down. But Powerpuff Girls using a bunch of disjointed hitboxes can really change how the matchup really looks start to finish. Being able to get in really safely, that nair being huge even after I believe some nerfs. That being said, we are going into game 1 here. Oh, no platforms to really run away from either character, as we see the Batarang immediately come out. A little bit of the pop up from the bomb hit. Huge parry. That's a 70-80 damage difference immediately. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatsoever. As we have Eris coming in with a beautiful, very low heat elimination there.
oh my god, the Gimp was massive. You know that is going to rattle our Batman player. Jim just... that kind of reversal is hard to come back from, at least mentally. But as long as Jim's able to close out this stock, no damage dealt yet. Keeping Eris off stage. The Powerpuff Girls at 146. A straight up air, an up attack. Yeah, an up attack could do it. But this is kind of where Batman struggles to close out the stocks and able to do finally trying to use the smoke to his advantage. Be a little bit sneaky about it. Now they're fighting for the corner, for the offstage pressure, and the girls, I guess the rowdy rough boys in this situation, are able to close out that stock. Once again, another very low heat kill.
Eris is a very aerial performer when it comes to his MultiVersus play. Very, very sort of risk and reward as well. So we see Batman trying to make most of the grapple, which they are able to do. And Batman was able to get rid of that stock without taking any damage whatsoever. So it is still a very, very even matchup as we reach the 5-minute mark in this round 1 of the series. Honestly, either of these guys could perform an elimination at any point. Batman has been more consistent with the damage output, but Eris has been really, really good at controlling the space and dominating Batman in that way. As we see there, Eris gets a beautiful low heat elimination on the right side and takes round 1 of the series.
As we are hopping into game 2, there's a couple of things where I was really surprised that Eris challenging the grapple hook over and over again got them into the kind of a scary situation. That being said, able to capitalize off of their hits. That's why they're usually a tournament favorite, is when, you know, when the hits happen, they make the hits matter. We're going into game 2, Trophy's Edge. Oh, as we're back in a situation where Eris is trying to be a little bit more aggressive. That dare lasting forever, able to connect with the Rowdy Rough Boys, but all of a sudden the reversal of aggression. Kind of a scary situation off stage. We've seen Eris today just get these stray hits into kills over and over again.
That one stung.
The aerial juggle is insane on Powerpuff Girls.
I'm really liking Eris's utility in the air, especially with this this up attack. Oh, great spike from Jim though, evening up the stock count quickly.
I think that's the interesting thing about going up against Jim is, like, throughout the course of this series so far, he does lose the initial stock, but he is getting better at reading Eris's positioning for that kind of thing. He just gets caught up in the window, and Eris just does not allow for any breathing room. Eris is playing on a completely different level of skill, at least, you know, as far as the Powerpuff Girls has been concerned. Looks like he was gonna go for the cycle again, trying to get Batman into that corner, and you know, it's at this point, you know, you gotta play Eris close to the ground. Batman continues to follow. He is able to dodge out of the combo, and Powerpuff Girls whiffs it. Batman has taken a decent amount of damage for that trouble though, and a very, very risky 73 at this stage in the match against Eris. But a very, very good attempt at a comeback here. He needs to play incredibly defensive if he wants to see maximum value from it. Lands with the Batarang. Does not detonate though. Eris is smart enough. Times the dodge just enough to be able to avoid it. Batman now at 105 could be eliminated by a very, very sort of easy blow from anywhere. Having to play very carefully as we see him dart around that platform. Going for the uppercut, Eris is able to dodge out of it with Powerpuff Girls, and now potentially looking for that final blow. Batman able to stay alive, Jim doing an incredibly good job of keeping it in there. The grapple brings him up nice and close. Eris is at 99, so these guys are both very much within kill range. Able to dodge away from the grappling hook. The next blow could decide it, as Batman looks for the uppercut, but it doesn't land. And Eris takes round 2, takes the series. It's going to be moving on to the quarterfinals.
That was so well. Honestly, I thought Jim was going to bring it back. There was a lot of really good awareness using the dodge attacks to catch Eris's movements. It just happened to not be quite enough. Eris being able to sneak out of that last what looked like a B or up special, and able to punish it with their own up attack, and you know, that's sometimes all it takes. That's sometimes what you need to close out a game is just one slip up, and it is Eris that moves on into winners quarters. If we look at the rest of the bracket, we see Califox taking over China Dior.
I don't
China
believe
Dior.
I've gotten a pronunciation for them.
Yeah, please correct us. Always correct us if we're wrong. But
Yep.
Califox taking it up 2-1. As we have Flacoco and Alex 26XD. Brian G going up against Zoru 2K. Mott's going up against Snarks Remarks. To go up against Carrie TF. We have Gorify going up against our big rat himself. And Moises sitting also in winners round 2 to go up against Karmas. I hope, man, as we are waiting to go into next game, I will say that I hope everyone's having a good holiday, a good holiday week preceding Christmas. Ends up being in the middle of the week, which is kind of rough, but
yeah, it's a difficult one. Obviously this being our last tournament before the Christmas period.
Is this our last tournament before the New Year? I believe.
I'm not sure if there is one next week. So
Can we get a confirmation from? We're gonna try to get a confirmation from production, but regardless, I do think that I want to congratulate everyone for participating in these tournaments. It is hard. It is just in general, competing is a big commitment, a big difficulty. Ignore the tail that's in my face. Um, as somebody who has competed in multiple cracked tournaments at this point, um, it is competing is hard. As somebody who's also competed in platform fighters for a significant part of his adult life.
It takes a lot of mental fortitude and stamina to be able to go. So the long term, when it comes to tournaments like this, I mean, we've seen these go upwards of 4 or 5 hours long, so it
Eh,
can be very, very difficult.
Are
But
you saying that
everyone's
I
doing a
have
very
mental
good job.
fortitude and uh are you saying that I have mental fortitude and should be praised? CJ, is that what you're saying? I've won some pretty big prizes.
So we're going to be going over to the quarterfinals. Eris versus Kal-El Fox. The Powerpuff Girls coming back once again. The return
If you don't ignore
of
me.
the Iron Giant. Now it's going to be very, very interesting. Iron Giant obviously having a massive, massive hitbox. It's going to be very easy for Eris to land those combinations. But also an incredibly heavy hero. So knockouts are going to be a little more testing. See how they do as we go to Trophy's Edge for round 1.
Yeah, I will say Eris does like to commit to options quite aggressively. And that EMP that Iron Giant has is a really good tool to prevent those commitments. That being said, I know that Kal has been playing some Shaggy as well as of late, so I don't know if that is a I don't have faith in my character kind of move, or if that is a oh, it's early in the bracket, I should practice a character like Shaggy. Either way, Eris did take first game stock, as it looks like Kal is SDing and giving up game 1. I'm not entirely sure if there's something else going on, but I'm sure we will hear it from our production as soon as we understand what is the
Oh, looks like we're going to the Shaggy switch. It could be interesting. We'll
Ooh.
get a confirmation from production
I
if that
I
round is going to count or that was a misselect. But considering that the fight did go on, that might have been a sacrificial moment. Whether or not you think it was the right move to make, I don't know. But we're gonna keep this train rolling as best we can. We're now gonna be going Shaggy versus Powerpuff Girls. We'll try and get that information for you guys. I believe we are counting that
Oh
as a
yeah.
win in Eris's book. So
So
we're gonna see a little more sort of mid control. I expect from the Shaggy here, playing around that edge very, very carefully. Kal-El now pushing on the Powerpuff Girls. Eris kind of wanting that. Eris is very good at manipulating positionings across the field.
yep.
So we'll just see how Shaggy's able to respond.
One of the things that Shaggy has above the Iron Giant is a smaller hitbox for sure, while also having that huge damage output. That being said, it is the Powerpuff Girls, and these girls notoriously eliminate stocks real quickly. And Eris, we've already seen them do a really good job of capitalizing on situations just like that. It was a trade hit, so they did take a little bit of damage, but that spike eliminating the first stock, getting first blood of game 2.
Really, really, interesting trade there. We'll see if Kal-El is able to make the most of it. Is going to try and go for the elimination here, but does miss the axe handle blow, the downward spike hit. And now Eris getting into perfect position for a potential another elimination. Looks like Kal-El was able to make it out of it just about, but Eris now setting up. The Powerpuff Girls went for that right corner elimination once again. Kal-El just able to stay alive, but is using a lot of his stamina here in order to stay alive. Eris still has full control is at 126, so it's very much in kill range. But with the amount of damage they've taken, as we see a brutal supercharged hit from Shaggy, downward spike now from the Powerpuff Girls, able to stay alive with the use of the wings there. Eris now, you know, at a little bit of an advantage still, with the difference in heat, but Kal-El is doing a very, very good job in making up for lost time.
I apologize as my cat pulls on my microphone cords. We do see a small, it almost feels like a comeback coming from Fox. The character switch really revitalizing Cal as he takes the second stock in a row. And all of a sudden having a lead in the game. 75 points of damage though, able to stave up. Oh, that did 22 points of heat. I think I wasn't expecting that at all. That's so much damage for just hitting the B button one more time.
Gonna hold on to the edge of the screen here using that supercharge, a very common Shaggy move we see, being able to just stop your momentum almost entirely, but is in a very, very risky position at 109. It looks like Eris is going to try and even up the stocks, which they do. At 75, they are at risk of being eliminated, but we've seen Eris pull off these sort of 20-30 heat eliminations. We'll just see if they have it in them. The evasiveness of Kal-El Shaggy is nothing to stop at, though. The double uppercut is going to follow through. They're going to take the second round.
That is crazy. They swing right back. They go back in. Eris was like, oh, no, that was a fluke. We're going back in. We're going to go back and swing in. Your Shaggy, well, it seems like you're trying a little bit harder, but I know that I can beat your Shaggy. I think your Shaggy is a fluke. We're gonna run it back. We're sticking with the boys, the Rowdy Rough boys. Here. Quite an interesting switch up. Fox switching to the Shaggy. I mean, I know Kal-El as a giant player, but the Shaggy's looking pretty good. As we see opening up with that Nair getting a quick 13. But getting shoved off stage, honestly opting to not interact immediately as soon as there's an interaction, Powerpuff Girls immediately take a stock at nothing.
Was very much aware that Shaggy would try and dodge out of the final blow and pivoted for it, was able to get that extra little bit to secure the kill. It looks like Eris is going for it again. They've been incredibly aggressive this round compared to last. Looks like they're not messing around now that that Kal-El has gotten a round back, perhaps confidence, not allowing it to simmer too much as they continue to push Kal-El to the limits. Went for another elimination. Kal-El at 100, now 121 at a very, very risky position, whilst Eris is only at 13 heat. Kal-El using up all of his stamina, pushing himself to the limit. We saw the exhaust there, and Eris able to make full advantage of it, and now pushes for another stock elimination, and Eris can afford to take these risks now, having not lost a single life, is in full control over the match, and it's not necessarily over for Kal-El, but it's very much looking like it's Eris's game.
I will say that Eris took offense. Game 2 was they weren't realizing how much Kal-El was trying in game 2, and they clearly took offense. They're like, oh wait, I guess we're all trying now. We gotta sweat a little bit. They might not sweat a lot like some of our previous competitors on screen, but Eris is putting in the work now. Not quite connecting with all of their combos there up until, I say that. But able to space everything, punishing every move that Kal-El Fox put out, and Eris taking it 2-1, advancing forward. What a comeback. A comeback? Do we call that a comeback? I guess a
I
return to
don't think
form.
it's quite a comeback. I think that is a message that is very much a statement that was made. You know, Kala with the character swap tried their best to try to sort of re-ascertain their momentum, but Airish just able to pull it out of the park. Very, very well done on their regard. That's going to be the end of our first quarterfinals matchup. There are others on the way. To a little bit of a recap to round two. We've got Mott, who was able to beat Snarks 2-0, and Carrie, who's able to win by ruling. And so they are going to be going up against one another in the quarterfinal, a match we've seen many, many times before. We've also had Gorify beat Vokoda 2-0, and Moises beat Karma's TTK 2-0. Very well done to the both of them. So they will also be going up against one another in the quarterfinals. And our final finals match that we will be going to momentarily is going to be Brian Yee versus Flakoko. Now, we have seen a lot from Brian Yee throughout the course of this season. They've done very, very well. As you see here, they're currently fourth in our tournament standing, having gained 22 points. We've got Flakoko as well, who has gained 7 points, currently 19th in our rankings. So we're still eligible for the invitation at the end of Season 1, which is currently projected to be roughly around the end of January. But obviously looking to try and build up more momentum, because the better you score on that leaderboard, the better you're keeping us to the tournament. Obviously Flakoko is very much known for their control over the air, very powerful with that sword. Brian Yee, a little bit more of sort of an all-rounder when it comes to his performance. Uses supercharging a lot. We're going to see a lot of that as we load into the quarterfinals.
I will say, Brian Yee collecting a lot of points over the last couple of weeks. Some might say that the weeks were a little bit light. You didn't have big hitters like Eris, like Flakoko, like Mots competing. Last week was Plat Fight. The week before, a lot of people were just kind of taking a break, so it seems. That being said, Brian Yee is not someone you are allowed to take lightly. You have to respect them, start to finish. As we go into the game, we have seen Brian Yee taking advantage of confirms more and more. Also, a big part of the game that has started to rear its head out are gonna be some of these parries. Shaggy gets a lot out of the parry, so if he does land one, that's an easy 20 to 60 even points of heat. That being said, Flakoko doing a really, really good job of just forcing the Shaggy out into off the stage. That's not a real sentence, but able to push Shaggy off stage, giving them a little bit more control, forcing Shaggy to only use aerial options. That being said, Brian Yee using that parry and able to punish massively.
Very, very well done. We've been seeing that parry used more and more as the weeks go on, as people perfect their time. As Flakoko now potentially looking for a game ender here, not able to follow up. Brian G, very, very good at the evasive dodging. Does exhaust himself in mid-air, but is able to follow through just enough to push Flakoko back, not letting him capitalize on it. Flakoko going for the killing blow here, but does unfortunately whiff it on this occasion. Brian G able to stay alive now. 120 on the heat levels. Flakoko starting to build up as well at 100, and Flakoko taken out by an uppercut, and now Brian G is going to be 2 points up. 5 minutes 20 on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Brian G yet to lose a life as this goes on.
Oh
Flakoko
no.
looking for that hit, but gets punished. Able to survive the downward spike barely. Both these guys now dancing on the edge of the screen. A very low to the border battle going on here. Neither able to find the final blow. Flakoko finally getting elimination on Brian. But this match is going to continue as Brian continues to storm away with momentum.
Brian doing a really good job of using that parry as we watch him use the other application of those bumper or the shoulder buttons, dodging out of the way, punishing with that Sair. I was gonna say that Brian Yi really seems like they're playing on autopilot, just like a little bit. We saw multiple times, even though they were in burnout, dodging, trying to get a dodge attack out, and ultimately getting punished for it, but not punished enough for Flakoko to take a game. Brian need huge runaway victory game 1. And we see Flakoko going in, making the first statement. That dashback was nasty. Oh my god. Calling out the fact that Brian Yi was going to try to counterattack and able to punish that simple move with the sword that Finn has. One of the biggest attributes, one of the biggest advantages that Finn has is how big those hitboxes are. As we see a damage disparity of about 40, putting, honestly, Shaggy into possibly kill range. It's one read. A huge trade from Brian, taking advantage, getting control of the corner. Now all of a sudden Flakoko's in trouble and is unable to get back on stage.
Yeah, Flakoko's resources would have been all used up. Brian G doing a very, very good job to edge guard there. Flakoko now going to try and answer back, potentially try and even up the stocks, but not able to follow it up. And Brian G is able to stay alive at 99, which is very much at kill range for Flakoko's skill level. As we've seen Flakoko pull off some absolutely gnarly combos. There it is in the top right. Flakoko able to get that life back on Brian at only 26 heats, so not really that much damage taken, still a relatively even one, but does rely on Flakoko to maintain that momentum. Brian has been able to break through the defenses and increase that damage, bringing him up to 53. Flakoko answering back with a combo of his own, bringing Brian to 37 at 5 minutes 15 on the clock. So these two back and forth.
Huge back and forth for sure. Brian Yi going for some unfruitful reads. Flakoko with the patience just runs through Brian, punishing the parry. That being said, isn't able to get much more than just some damage, while Brian able to dodge, attack into a kill, connecting that upper attack and that empowered side B, doing actually a decent amount of damage, breaking through the armor here as they dance around each other. Flakoko closes. Oh, not quite able to close out either attempt at the stock using the backpack. Brian Yi super aware, dodging out of both attacks. That being said, Flakoko took offense to the fact that Brian Yi didn't accept his fate. Now, basically at even, it's anybody's game.
Brian now trying to get that momentum back, is able to break through Flakoko, looking for potentially an elimination there. We saw the platform starting to move to that outwardmost position. It would have been very, very good for Brian. He doesn't need it though. Hits a dirty uppercut and is able to eliminate Flakoko 2-0, and is going to advance to the semi-finals round going up against Eris.
I made an ugly sound. I apologize. Oh my god, I don't know if that was heard by the mic, but man, that stray hit really did me in. My god. The the soft hit into the up special really, really, what a fucking call out by Brian. Deserved to go into winner semis. I have a lot of feelings, CJ.
Mm.
It's really hard for me. I wasn't expecting it at all. I Man, what a reversal in that situation.
No, it's absolutely very, very well done from Brian G. Just showing why he is fourth place on our leaderboard and continuing to climb. The Coco story is not yet over. However, as you know, they will be going over to lower bracket with a lot of our other competitors from the evening. So the story is not over, and we've seen those lower bracket guys come back and win it all before. I'll be very excited to see how far he gets. We are going to be taking a very, very short break here, ladies and gentlemen, whilst we get things prepared for our semi-finalists, getting those last matches finished up and ready, and then we will have our two semi-finals and upper finals before we delve into the lower bracket rounds and start cleaning up for the night. So we will see you very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Sit tight.
I'm gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I am cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day. 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 I'm gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I'm cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day.
Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our first semi-finals bout. For the rest of this upper bracket, we'd like to remind you that it's going to become a best of 5 series in order to progress on to the finals. So we'll be having a little bit more conflict and a little bit more chance of people to show off their skills. Our first match for the semi-finals is going to be Eris versus Brian G, two people we've been following very closely this evening. Brian, obviously very, very confident with the shaggy plays. Has done very, very well with that. Eris has been doing very, very good work with the Powerpuff Girls or the Rowdy Rough Boys, however you want to, however we're going to look at that. So I'll be very curious to see if those character selections remain. Obviously, we have seen them play a couple different characters in the past, but the confidence definitely does seem to be there. They're currently getting ready as we speak. Quang, what do we expect to see?
All right. So if we are seeing the boys or the girls or anything in between, I will say that the Chemical X trio, honestly, based on what I've seen in the past, it seems really hard for Shaggy to get in. I mean, we kind of saw it with Califox up against Eris. Normally you go for these almost 30 to 60 degree angle entry with the falling nairs, falling dares, and just moving a lot. But Powerpuff Girls has a really crazy big nair that will catch out that option every single time. The thing with the nair that the girls have is that it combos into whatever they want. It feels like it combos into whatever they want, I should say. That being said, if Brian is able to bait out options, we also know, and we have seen Brian just do a really good job of parrying certain options. Brian is able to get huge damage on the girls, and the girls are light enough that they just kind of explode off the screen when they get hit with a strong hit. You kind of are scared for the Powerpuff Girls earlier than you are scared of most characters, I should say. Like once they hit like 60, 70 points of heat, you're like, ooh, they might just die randomly, especially a stage like this one on Sky Arena. So we're going into game one. We see them dancing a little bit. Nobody quite making any commitments until Eris lands that first hit, getting a quick 52. That being said, Brian playing huge patiently, getting a jab combo right off the bat. Not getting a lot of damage though. Trying to bait out a swinging Eris with that parry, but unable to catch anything. Already at 102, Brian's not getting anything, getting knocked off stage over and over again. Huge nair into the side B, actually. And now, while it might look like Eris has a lead, they're both at kill range. And that is scary. As we see, oh, good DI from Eris, but Brian able to close out, catching the movement with that side B. Now a full stock ahead and trying to extend the lead as much as possible.
Brian doing very, very well to secure an early lead for themselves there. As now we see Eris follow up with a downward spike in order to even up the playing field. Very, very clean and efficient. And now potentially looking to further that lead as we maybe seen them go for that early stage elimination that we've seen them perform a couple of times during this tournament. Brian very good at playing close to the edges of the map though. So it could be very risky for Eris to put himself in such a vulnerable position against someone of this caliber. We've seen him go to the other side of the stage. Now, we do in fact see Eris try and set up for it. Brian was prepared though and had enough evasive resources in order to get away. And Brian's very, very good at his resource management. It's a very key skill when it comes to MultiVersus, if not one that's very rarely discussed in all honesty.
I'm actually surprised that Brian wasn't able to get the parry there either. That was the second time that we see the parry come out. That I was actually... Oh no, Eris! I was going to say that it didn't connect as we see the hitbox kind of trade there. Eris unfortunately making a little bit of stumble, losing their stock, able to find that up attack, and collecting Brian's stock there. But as we've seen over and over again, Shaggy's so strong. My God.
A very, very clean round one for Brian G. It's ultimately going to happen. You have two people that have been on a tear throughout the tournament. Storms are going to collide. Brian taking advantage of it in this initial encounter, But of course, this is best of 5 rules, so he'll need to win another 2 rounds if he wants to progress on to the finals to get those points and that $50 prize we have waiting for him at the end. Going to Trophy's Edge for round 2. This platform starting inward and now beginning to extend out to the edges of the map. Something both of these guys have made very good use of during the evening so far. I expect we'll see a lot more of that. As we see Eris trying to take initial momentum, get that edge guard up, but Brian has been able to do a lot of damage. Already gotten Eris up to 56 on heat. Eris now trying to answer back, and of course, we know that Eris doesn't necessarily care for the heat levels as they do positioning. They've not been able to manipulate Brian in the way they typically would want to for their opponent. Brian answering back very well with a double axe handle, securing the edge, but both are still going to remain in play.
I'm really impressed with Brian taking advantage of, or I guess not taking advantage, but being very aware of the MultiVersus mechanics, trying to get those parries, trying to get those tech reads when the auto tech comes into play. Good securing that first stock and holding on to this one. Now at 113. Ooh, getting grabbed by the girls. Eris super ready though, getting the jab into the up attack. Now Brian back on the offensive, anticipating that return hit. But both players, I'm so impressed with how ready they are to call out options, call out DI. As we see Eris just take 1, 2, oh, almost 3. It looked like stocks in a row.
Brian answering really, really well here to the sudden shift in pressure as Eris now trying desperately to finish out the round. Obviously trying to get that point back and take us on to at least a round 4 game. Eris able to stay alive. Very, very close to the edge there. Very risky, but is at 98. Brian's going to be looking for that eliminating hit. Although Eris could be catching it with the Austin Select. Does not follow it up just on this occasion, but does maintain very, very good control of the edge of the map. Swapping out with Brian temporarily is now both secure themselves in center stage. And we're going to see a continual application of pressure from Eris as they try and finish out that game, trying to control that spacing as best as they can. A very good character for doing so. Brian really nice on the backhand there, gets Eris into 108, but at 115 it is only a matter of time. We're going to be looking for Brian to not only get this life down on Eris, but then play a practically perfect game. They do get the elimination, but at 115 they are in a very, very risky scenario. Even a random hit could be enough for them to be eliminated. As we see the combo coming up, Brian using his ability to stay in, slowing his momentum at the edge of the stage here and using that super kick to try and stay in power, try and stay in control. Is able to get a nice little loop on,
second read.
Eris here. Doesn't quite follow it up though. Eris stays alive.
Oh my god, Brian just doing this huge combo on Eris. Now we're waiting patiently as Brian, trying not to get caught in a stray hit, is unfortunately survives. As they're playing this dance around the corner, both players at kill percent now. As the dash attack finally does it. My god, my heart. I will say, those things that I'm really impressed by both players. I'm really impressed with Brian's ability to keep up the aggression, even though they are in burnout, able to get find those hits. Cause the best time to get the kill is while you are in burnout, so you have a little bit more time to regen your dodge bar. Eris doing a really good job of just spacing out Shaggy. That is really the kind of thing you have to do. Shaggy's really strong and is really fast and is able to get in quite aggressively. but the girls, especially because the outer hitboxes, and if you're throwing out one of your members, doesn't actually have a hurtbox on them, can be really detrimental. I thought that was it for Brian. I thought that was I thought that was the stock. As we see Brian fighting over and over again, able to get the reversal and able to get back on stage, 34-75.
Eris now trying to make the most of it and trying to apply that pressure further and further. But Brian is doing a very, very good job of sort of building up that damage back. Potentially went for an elimination there, but Eris was able to capitalize on the momentum and get the life down on Brian. He's going to start taking the lead in this match. Brian immediately trying to answer back, and there is it evened up 1 point apiece. 6 minutes left on the clock. We're only a minute into this match, and already we're seeing that pressure between the two. We're seeing the stakes get higher and higher as we see now Eris trying to set up for that combo once again. Brian's evasiveness has been on absolute form. Both players able to stay alive just about.
I will say, I'm sure as both players are aware, this is not match point. That being said, Eris says that I want to be the one on match point as they close out another early stock. Brian has a huge walk to get up as they eliminate the girls at 70 points of heat. That's about as early as you're going to get on any character in MultiVersus. Combo starting up for Brian. Honestly, getting a pretty decent lead going into each person's third stock. Not connecting with the Sarah, but connecting with the parry. Now, all of a sudden, the girls, I guess the Rowdy Rough Boys, are now at kill percent for a straight up special or an up, really strong up air. Brian Yee struggles to get back, reverses with the Sarah, 93-50 as the call out on the side special. Excuse me? What a call out! What a call! Basically, Brian was like, "You're gonna stay there. You're gonna stay there. You're going to stall a little bit." The side B takes a second for the hurtbox of the Rowdy Rough Boys to latch onto the wall of the stage, and Brian took full advantage of that split second where the hurtbox is still out in the middle of the ether and calls it out with a dare and able to close out game 3. Ugh. Don't you laugh at me, CJ, for my shock, my heart. Man, what a stock, what a game from Brian Yee. Eris might be a little shaken up as we stall a little bit going into game 4. Trophy's edge. Eris was able to take a really early stock last game. Let's see if they're able to do so again. They are.
Very, very well done from Eris, trying desperately to make sure that that lost time isn't wasted. We see now Brian trying to get themselves in position as they begin to push on Eris, but Eris is there, has the answer for it, ready at a moment's notice, using that floating platform to try and get a little bit closer to the edges of the map. A very, very risky play from Brian as he goes now down to the edges. Could be taken out at any point, but the ability to escape using the wings, very, very well done on their part. Brian at 55, Eris at 43, 6 minutes on the clock, Eris 1 point up.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that the trio gets to cover so much ground so quickly. Brian Yee struggling to get a footing in this game. Already at a 132 on their second stock. And honestly, Eris sitting a little bit comfortably. Unable to connect. Great reversal from Eris. Able to call out Brian for attempting to call out their movement. Now all of a sudden we have a 2-0 lead for Eris. And the lead just keeps widening. Eris takes a huge... Ooh. I was going to say...
Very, very risky move there.
I was going to say that Eris was taking a huge advantage off of those moving platforms, but unable to quite connect and close out the game. But this is looking rough for Brian.
Brian now, once again, using that platform to try and get a little bit of space. Both these guys are over 100. Brian at 100 on the dot, Eris at 113. Both at kill range. Eris able to finish up the match. And we are, in fact, going to our first round 5 of the evening. Eris has done an incredible, incredible job of this sort of back and forth comeback story that they've been developing throughout this series. But it all comes down to this. Brian really needs to lock in. Eris really needs to lock in. They have been answering each other left and right. They've been reading each other like clockwork throughout the course of the series. And
that was a 3-0. That was 3-0 on game 4.
It was a statement, is what it was. It was a statement.
Game 5, we see the girls hop in. We see Brian getting a little bit of food in him as he gets the first hits. That being said, this is kind of the thing that you get nervous about. Shaggy off stage with the girls on the aggression. But Brian constantly, over and over again, getting the parry right when Eris is not expecting it and able to capitalize on it. That being said, get punished almost twice for parrying in neutral. That being said, it has a small lead. Brian looks to close out the stock and does so.
Brian now supercharged and ready to go. Desperately trying to get as much damage as possible before Eris undoubtedly evens up the stock count. Immediately, there it is. Brian was able to get a nice 38 on Eris, but Eris very, very good at eliminating his opponents very quickly. This is basically neck and neck as these two desperately fight for their ticket to the upper finals. Brian went for the uppercut elimination there, but Eris able to read it very, very easily. And now goes for an elimination of their own. Brian just able to hold on. That kind of move would have eliminated someone else earlier on in the tournament, but Brian going in as strong and confident as ever, pushing back on Eris. We see 81 to 98. Both one stock down. This could go either way as we see Brian exhaust himself out of stamina. Punished for it as Eris gets the downward spike and starts taking lead. Brian now going to try and even up the stock count. Eris at 105. Are we going to see the elimination? There it is with the ironclad knee.
I was going to say, even though Eris was the one to take the stock initially, being at I believe it was 135, Shaggy can easily close out anything with even a stray hit here. That being said, being off stage against the rowdy rough boys is not an ideal situation as Eris constantly poking and prodding, able to dodge through Shaggy. That being said, using an incredibly laggy option gets a couple points of damage off. Now, a huge lead for Eris. Once again, the winner of this game moves on. The loser going into loser's bracket. This is everything. The trade. That's not how you want to go out, CJ. That's both players making the correct read. It just happens that when both players made the correct read, the girls win instead. TJ, I don't think you understand. CJ,
I'm letting you live through the emotions, dude.
Yeah, that feels so bad. When I say that both players made the right decision and it just happened that Brian lost and Eris won, I mean, both players made the correct read, and Harris happened to win, and Brian lost. My God, DBZ'd. They both went. They both went into the same left blast zone. It just happened that Shaggy's hurt box hit the blast zone first. Unfortunate for Brian, as Brian gets kicked into losers bracket. Eris moving into winners finals. Congratulations. Hard fought win.
Very, very well done from them. It's a real, that is probably one of the most even matchups we have seen throughout the entirety of the season. That was the most back and forth matchup I've seen in a very, very long time. So very much congratulations to Eris. We will be moving on to our second semi-finals match in just a moment. It's going to be Mott's versus Moises. Again, a match we've seen a few different times. To give you guys a little bit of update on the lower bracket, as things are starting to move down there quite swiftly. We have got Flacoco, who's just won 2-0 against Karmas. Who's going to be going up against Kal-El Fox in round 4, who was able to beat Snark Remarks 2-0 as well. The other two matches we currently have going on in the lower bracket is Gorify going up against Zoro2K, which started around 6 minutes ago, and Carrie going up against Jim Jam. So very much good luck to the both of them. Jim Jam has been on a bit of a roll in lower bracket. They've gone sweep after sweep, back to back, 2-0 wins. So we'll see how they do against Carrie. And of course, we've seen Kal-El and Flacoco go up against one another a couple of times. So we'll see how that goes as well. But we are going to move on to Mott and Moises, and this is obviously a very, very important match because Mott is our current podium position. He's currently on number 1 on the tournament listing. 39 points garnered from them. So very, very nicely done. Going up against Moises, who was coming into the offseason as a bit of an underdog, but was able to win a tournament with Steven Universe, and has been on a bit of a tear ever since, consistently placing high up on our brackets. So I'm very, very excited to see. We have seen Moises beat Mops in the past, so we'll see how they go as we go into Trophy's Edge for this initial best of 5 match.
I will say that Mott's is probably the other player currently in the tournament that really likes to use that parry button. Harley Quinn, one of the, I guess, winners of the parry changes, able to get huge damage off if they land the parry. That being said, it looks like they decided to go to neutral corners immediately, and Moises, losing a friend immediately. But that being said, getting a lot of openings onto the Harley Quinn. Mott's having a hard time getting into the Steven. Steven able to create a lot of terrain. Makes it really difficult to approach Steven in the ones. You see the shields on the screen. And now we see Steven asking Mott's to stop camping, but I'm not entirely sure that's what's going on. Mott's trying to get into Steven, but they're being constantly an obstacle in the way as the heat numbers even up. Actually, Mott's getting a small lead at 62 to 57, now 72 to 60. Mott's trying their best to get some sort of big opening, as we see so with the Sair into the hammer hit. Fully charged Nair, able to close out Steven's first stock. I was honestly not expecting that to happen there.
Very, very nicely done from Mott's, and we'll see he continues to apply that pressure, getting Steven very, very close to the edge. Moises in a risky position, is able to get the clap attack off and eliminate Mott's there, evening up the life count one apiece. 48 to 47. This is all of a sudden a very, very even game. Like we say, we've seen Moises sort of take out Mott in the past in our off season. Very much was the dark horse of the run, but performed very, very well. Gets a second elimination there. Is obviously a bit of a risky position here. At 108, could be eliminated right here with the charged hammer. There goes the clone as well. Going into 0-0 for our final stock in this matchup. But it's been very, very back and forth so far. Again, two very evenly matched players. Does ricochet off of the shield, which allows for a bit of a juggle, but is answering back with some very, very nice damage over to Mott's. 32 to 74.
That Ignite actually doing a decent amount of damage as we see that parry come out. Like I said, Harley's a little bit of a big winner when it comes to the berry changes. And is able to close out that first stock using that parry, using that hammer to just launch Steven into the blast zone. A big thing that you might notice is that Steven seems tanky in a lot of matchups, but Steven is quite light and actually gets the launch really far, especially when you use the big
What are we
hits.
waiting for? Let's get to work.
And honestly, Harley is one of those characters that will take advantage of that regardless. The clone usually makes it a little bit difficult for people to get in, especially in ones. But we can see Mott's dancing around the attacks over and over again, quite gracefully. We do see Moises taking advantage of Mott's passiveness though, but Mott's doing tripping away, I guess, at Steven using those parries over and over again, while Steven tries to open up Mott's using the dodges. The moment that either of these players go into burnout, it becomes really scary, because that's when we both know that all of a sudden they're gonna take a shit ton of damage.
Absolutely, both of these guys have the ability to dish out a lot of pain very, very quickly. Steven having the support of that clone is also a rather big factor, allows him to control a lot more of the space. Mott was able to gain control of the ledge. Another beautiful parry there from Mott, but he wasn't able to follow it up, and Moises does get the initial elimination, obviously at a very risky position themselves at 86. Another beautiful parry there from Mott, but Moises again able to avoid most of the punishment from that parry, does get eliminated by the hammer, and we are now at 0-7, basically a fresh restart for both these guys. 5 minutes on the clock. The clone is brought back out as Mott seemingly trying to deal as much damage as possible, but of course with Mott being distracted by the clone, Moises is able to get in and try and deal a little bit of damage. Does finally get rid of the clone, but has been punished a little bit in terms of 41 damage applied to their heat level. There is the bat bomb that detonates wonderfully into a beautiful bat strike that, you know, doesn't quite eliminate Steven, who's a little bit on the heavier side as far as the character goes, able to dodge away from that bat bomb, but did deal a lot of very, very much needed damage. 102 to 85 as Steven now slightly heal himself a little bit, trying to get that little bit of advantage, but eliminates the clone once again. Steven able to hold on. Another parry from Mott, but yet another nice dodge from Moises, and does get the stock count going in. 4 minutes on the clock. Are we going to see it evened up? No. Moises just able to stay alive. Trying to go for the juggle, but doesn't succeed on this occasion. There's the elimination we needed.
It really feels like Mott's is missing these confirms that we know Mott's for pretty consistently. That of course, as soon as I say that, starts up a combo. I don't, and it really looks like Mott's is not paying attention to whether or not the KO was from the clone or from Moises himself. But it doesn't matter when you KO the clone and then all of a sudden the Steven's alone. Uh, I I feel like I curse everyone when I start talking about them, CJ.
You just curse people in general, in my experience. Doesn't matter
That's-
whether you're talking about them or not.
Somebody call for a
That's, I mean, that's fair. As we go into game 3, Moist is having a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, needing to make sure to close out this game to stay in winner's side. That being said, what? 2 in a row? 3 in a row? You can't. No, Moises, you can't. You can't let him do that to you.
It's already been done. Mods is now a point up as we see juggling across the wall, but fluffs it at the last moment. Moist is able to make most of the situation, has taken a fair bit of damage for it, but was able to even up the stock count using those shields to try and juggle Harley up to the edge of the screen for the elimination, but was able to hold on Mott's on this occasion. And now we're seeing the cycle of explosions. There's another parry from Mott. Again, these two are very evenly matched in terms of damage output, but Mott's able to get the elimination on Moises. 76-0 now, as Moises tries to get that elimination to follow up. Was able to avoid the projectile there. Very defensive kit Steven has. Is very good at nullifying projectiles and the like. Hits him with the belly shield there as well. Mott desperately trying to stay alive at the edge of the screen, potentially trying to lure Moises in, able to avoid the elimination with use of the hammer, but it was only a matter of time. Moises able to even up the score once again, 11-0 to go on a final stock. It is match point for Mott at this time.
Oh my god, Mott's is really feeling himself. I don't know if Mott's unstoppable. Honestly, we see the parries come out over and over again, and catches Steven behind using that nair. That nair actually reaches so far behind where Harley is. It like really drags people forward. 46-62. Mott's realizing that he needs to actually close out this game. Starts sweating a little bit now. Tries to use the launch off the platform. Finally able to close it out with that nair. I don't know. I thank God you're here, CJ, because I was dying after that initial parry into parry sequence. I don't know how you're supposed to react to that. Deserved win from Mott's, moving on into winners finals to face Eris. Moise is
Absolutely.
putting a great fight. I know my reaction might differ to what you think I thought of the fight, but
No,
Moises-
it was very well done. Moises did incredibly well to hold out and was doing a really good job of evening out the playing field. But you know, every time you think Mott's can't get any better, we see that evolution once again. An incredibly adaptive player has worked very hard to get to the place where they're at, and very, very well done. We're gonna have a quick look at the bracket right now, as there's been a lot of developments.
yeah, take it off my face so you can't see me crying.
We are gonna have Gorify and Jim are currently going up against one another. Gorify having won 2-0 against Zoro, and Jim having won 2-0 against Carrie. A very, very, very good showing from Jim as they go into round 4. Very much good luck to both of you. And we still have Kal-El and Flacoco going at it. We're yet to get any results on that. We will update you guys as we can go. The winner of Jim and Gorify will go up to face Brian G. And of course, Flakoko and Kalel are fighting for the opportunity to face Moises in our losers quarterfinals, which we will be covering very, very soon as we establish our top 8 for the week. But our first finals match of the night, our upper finals match of the night, a best of 5 bout between Mott's and Eris. These two have been putting on an incredible showing, both very, very aggressive. But Mott's showing that defensive, evasive prowess as well with the use of the dodging and, of course, the patented Mott's parry. Very, very nicely done. Eris using those option selects consistently, pulling them off throughout the night. We will see. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to those two factors. Two very different techniques throughout the matchup. We will see how those interactions go. We're getting ready to load in to our first round of the finals here.
I will say, Eris did show against Brian Yee that they are very good at baiting out the parry. I don't know how much Mots and Eris play against each other, especially in ones, where the parry mechanic actually becomes really strong. But Eris is really good at baiting out the parry, but also punishing players for hitting the button. And if Mots is still in that rhythm that they are against Moises, it is going to be a rough game for them, as Eris just kind of weaves back and forth against Motz's parries. That being said, once again, the Rowdy Rough Boys are lighter than you might expect and will explode to three Harley combos. That being said, Harley Quinn also not the biggest tank in the world and will kind of explode off the side, off the top, with a couple of good hits.
Absolutely. As we see, Eris with the initial opening did go for the elimination, but Mott's able to avoid it very, very well. Eris, though, follows up a second time and gets a very quick elimination on Mott. Now we see Mott's beginning to answer back, not going to let that go unpunished. As they get the stock reset. Eris, though, continuing to apply that pressure, and a second stock is gone instantly, and preparing to answer for potentially a third time. For very rare occasion, we see Mott on the back foot of a match so early on. We are not even a minute in. Mott is able to answer back and get a stock up on Eris, but is at 88 going up to 96 damage here. This could be curtains for round 1 before the bell has even rung. Barely a minute into the matchup, and Eris takes the first round.
CJ, I don't know how you sleep after these tournaments. I know it's very late for you.
Insane amounts of cocaine.
Across the Atlantic. I know it's very late for you.
It's very early. Let me make it clear. It is 4:30. Luckily, most people in the house are already awake, or I would be getting noise complaints after that.
But man, my adrenaline's pumping, and I'm not going to. It's 8:30 where I am, and I'm going to bed in 6 hours because of the amount of adrenaline that's in my system. That being said,
instantly opening up with the option selects and getting the elimination. That's horrible. That's disgusting.
No, Eris is feeling themselves. That was such a massive call out. I can't. My God.
If you would like to explain to the people at home what just happened there.
Player 1 said to player 2, "Excuse you for playing in my game. I would like you to leave now." Is what just happened.
Okay, mechanically, if you were to describe what just happened there for the people at home. Eris gets a second elimination.
He looked at Mots in the eyes and said, "You are lesser than me. I need you to sit down."
Okay, so now if you would like to describe the button inputs that he used for the people at home, I'm fucking pulling teeth here.
He hit the call button, and Mott's picked up, and he said, "Oops, I dialed the wrong number."
I'm
But
gonna
while you're
stand on
here,
you in a minute. Ladies
Oh
and
my
gentlemen, at this point now, Mott's desperately trying to get that stop out, but Eris going in once again gets a third elimination. Oh, I actually hate this. I hate this is our finals. This is our finals. I'm kind of disgusted. I'm kind of upset. Am I allowed to be upset? Am I gonna get in trouble for being upset? I don't care. That was disgusting, and I want to vomit.
no, you shouldn't be upset. Ares is playing out of their mind. Mott's got caught up in the rhythm. That being, my God, Ares. What really happened there, right? If we're gonna do like analysis, Ares really did just make 3 really big reads in a row, and kind of capitalize on the fact that Mott's is kind of just panicking almost. That's kind of what happened there as well. Mott's is really struggling to find any momentum in this matchup, which is, to be honest, fair, since the Powerpuff Girls have so much bigger of an engage range than Harley will ever have. Good parry from Mott's as I regained my composure, and all of a sudden the Powerpuff Girls are in a situation where they might. Oh, Ares just has a. It really feels like Ares just has Mott's number on speed dial.
I want to make it very clear. I have such respect for Mott's, who does even up the stock count. I have a lot of respect for Mott's. They're able to pull off things that, no word of a lie, no hyperbole, if I attempted to do, would break my hands.
Sure.
But this round 3 does just feel like a bit of a formality at this point, as Eris goes in for another option select.
No.
Is avoided by Mott, who then answer back a little bit, and now these guys both knocking each other around a lot in the air. Mott, it seems, has found their rhythm a little bit and does get the second stop. We do have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, as Mott is desperately trying to follow up, but again, we see Eris with that aggression trying to establish themselves. That fighting platform may come into play. Mott's, though, very, very good at keeping guard over that edge. We've seen a lot of parry execution that has been critical to Mott's regaining control of this series. There is the elimination from Eris, 77 to -10. Realistically, as we go into the final stock of this round, Mott needs to pull it out of the bag if they want to stay alive. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, your upper finals winner and champion going into the grand finals in just a short amount of time is Eris.
It was good to see that Mott's had a lot of fight in him in game 3, especially after that game 2. There was a lot of decision making that was really smart. There's a lot of opportunities that Mott's was able to take advantage of, but I don't I is this like a player counter? Is Eris just Mott's kryptonite? Because I have never never seen Mott's look as lost as that game 2. Game 3 was a little bit more of return to form of what I'd expect out of Mott's, going up against another top player like Eris, like Fuecoco, like Fat Pack, etc. But I can't. I'm so heartbroken. There's no CJ.
It's really rough. That's really like I wanna emphasize this. We were on to our final round in a quarter of the time it took for us to get through the entirety of Eris's semi-finals match. I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting a game, and what
That-
I got was a flash mob.
It's not. That's not. To be clear, okay. So let's talk about the goods and the bads. The goods. Both Eris and Mott's really did a really good job of, after getting a hit, really pushing their advantage. Both of them did a really good job of that. Unfortunately, I don't know if it is just Eris's experience against Mott's, which is a thing. Able to take advantage of the every single time that Mott's hit a button. Every time Mott's hit A or B or C or D or E, all of the above, Eris was just so ready and just punished the Harley Quinn all the way through. And Eris played the game of his life and deserved to win 100%. Now Motts is sitting in losers finals, waiting to, reevaluating his plan, probably going back into the VODs, going back, trying to figure out what he could have done differently.
That match wasn't long enough for a VOD to be for a VOD to count.
As we go into the losers losers quarters, we have Moises versus Flakoko, and Brian G going up against the winner of Gorfy and Jim. We have to move on, CJ. I'm sorry.
I don't right. Uh. Also, can I just point out, Nano the
Sure.
real? I hate you. Your chats have been disgusting. I need to anchor myself to the show somehow. Nano, I'm gonna call you out at the desk here, bro. With that tail flying on the other end of the screen. No, I will time you out. I don't care. I will abuse my power. I have a
Dan,
sword and I'm willing to use it.
Dzanny, if you want me to pet the cat, I will show cat on screen if she wants it. But I was petting her the entire time. Just understand.
That's great. That's great. We do need to move on, and we will remind you, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the top 8 from this point on. So all matches are going to be best of 5.
Content. No.
Although I think that last, even though those finals were the length of a best of 3, they were indeed a best of. That was a best of 3 match. That would God. God. Oh, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We are having a slight thing. Moises, if you are here, can you get in contact with us? We're currently, we're trying to get a hold of Moises for their match. So, Moises, if you are here, if you are with us, do get in contact. I think what we'll do, whilst we try and get a hold of Moises, we'll go to a very, very quick break. So we will see you guys in just a little bit.
Just for a minute, I need some privacy. Headset off and stretch your neck out. Down the rocks to her head safe house. Yeah, I remember it all. Leave and shut out my calls. The air was so dusty, her armor getting rusty. She found thoughts she never had. Her young ones were just as bad. They really bad. Oh, in a heart, feel like a lady. And fingers apart, cold, rugged, waiting. I can't believe that you're not. Did you know where to find me? I kept the feelings in and really thought it cost me. Drops in her goggles aren't of love, and something's really wrong, and it feels awful. And even though our bodies
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for letting me breathe, letting me have my mini therapy session. As we go into losers' quarters, Brian up against Glorify. Honestly, it's really hard getting to this point in the bracket, CJ, because I'm such a big fan of both of these players. And seeing either one of them go is a little heartbreaking. As we get into game going into Trophy's Edge. Who are you rooting for? So I can really get to you.
Yeah, I figured that was gonna be. I've been seeing much more of Brian these last few weeks than Glorify, so I'm going with my guy that shows. I'm going with Brian.
All right. Well, we will see the Morty trying to kind of box out the Shaggy here. Morty having a lot of really good disjointed hitboxes, whether that's the projectiles, whether that's the dirt, whether that's the whip. Honestly, a lot of that also leads into the up air, which will kill even Shaggy pretty early. As we see Glorify attempting to juggle that grenade, but Brian doing a really good job of creating space to make sure that as soon as the projectiles are off the screen, getting in onto Glorify. Who else but Brian and Mods to get those parries, though?
No, absolutely. Brian's been putting on a show in terms of his defensive prowess throughout the course of the evening, as he does try and break through with Morty. Obviously, Morty's big thing is they're going to have a lot of projectiles here that's going to litter the field. Brian is going to have to work his way through them. Morty, very, very good use of the UFO to keep himself alive, and now establishes that edge guard, not letting Brian reestablish himself. But Brian is able to get through it and absolutely swerve on Morty. A very, very nice elimination there, as now we are going to have Glorify trying to answer back. But unfortunately does not land the wall, and Brian now 2 points up, 91-0, 5 minutes 50 on the clock, as Glorify does finally get a point back.
I think you might be a little bit delayed here. As
I might. Let me refresh my Discord real quick.
That's totally fine. As we're going into stock 3 for Glorify, stock 2 for Brian, getting 2 almost devastating SDs from Glorify, needing to keep their composure. Huge parry, not quite getting the kill there. But at 93 is actually right where Shaggy wants the Morty, because basically any stray hit can lead into either a Sair or the up B. Ooh. I'm almost entirely sure that was supposed to be an up air, but instead they got an up attack on the ground. Good jab combo into the uppercut. Closing out game 1 for Brian Yee. You have to be a little salty for Glorify. Basically SDing 2 times in a row. Not quite getting caught by either the wall or by the UFO that you summoned. I would be a little tilted if it was me.
I don't think there's room for it in a place like this. You gotta just take
That's
the
fair.
punches and keep going. Like, don't worry about it. You messed up. All right, do better next time. There's no point crying over spilt milk.
Yeah, I mean, spilt milk, spilt Morty stocks. What's the difference, right? As we go into game 2, Glorify, we'll see if they keep their composure. Because honestly, it is really hard to maintain the mental if something like that happens. That being said, for some people, it is what drives them to win, as we see an early opening from the Morty, but immediate retaliation from Brian using the spaceship as an extension tool and then gets a huge parry, leading into this next combo, which leads into the first stock.
A beautiful, beautiful opening from Brian there. Morty now trying desperately to sort of build any kind of momentum. Was able to avoid a killing blow there. But parried again by Brian, who has been on fire this game so far. Morty trying to establish that edge guard, but does not get any kind of footing against Brian. Who does fatigue himself, gets an uppercut though for a second elimination, also able to get the supercharge, followed up by a powered up uppercut as well. This match is all Brian G currently, as Morty now, Gorpa desperately trying to find something, some form of window in order to try and get some of those points back against him.
Yeah, I mean, Brian doing a really, really good job. What a good dash dance. Honestly, weaving in and out, making sure to try to bait out the dirt, because that's honestly one of the best times to bait or punish Morty, is when that dirt comes out. That being said, Gorify trying to hunt with those parries himself, but unable to really get much other than some damage. Now we have this strange, I was gonna say strange situation where Brian has the supercharge, dash attack takes it, so I guess Brian's up 2-0.
Going into round 3, Brian has absolutely solidified his lead here.
I will say, Brian's been doing a really good job of moving out of Gorify's or her hitboxes. The bomb, the snakes, the gun, and just making sure as soon as Gorify commits to an option, able to close that distance quickly. And Brian's I'm one of the fastest characters to punish. As soon as he knows that he's not going to get hit by a hurt box, just goes in, able to get the nair, able to get the Sair, just little bits of damage, and is really good at chipping away at his opponent.
No, I couldn't agree more.
That being said, we do see a switch up from Gorify going up, choosing the other half of the duo. Started with the Morty, now going into the Rick. If there's one thing that we've heard Juice say, is that Rick's jab is one of the best jabs in the game, and we're gonna probably see that here with those sword hands coming out. That being said, as far as weight goes, Rick is not that much tankier than Morty, so as long as Brian doesn't get baited up by the Meeseeks, I don't see much changing for Gorify.
I'm gonna say the big difference you're gonna see here is the use of those portals. We did see it last week, able to use them to kind of cycle your opponent very, very well. But again, Brian's use of his defensive parries, his ability to be evasive like that, is very critical to his performance. We've seen he's taken a lot of damage. He is admittedly in kill range currently, but is still fighting, still slowly pushing up against the Rick. And really sort of continuing to apply that pressure, make it a very claustrophobic fight, not giving Rick any kind of room to maneuver, really. Able to survive on 131, Rick staying on 40 at this time. Brian perhaps trying to bait Rick in there with the supercharge, but does get taken out. And Gorify does finally get a point on the board, potentially getting a bit more momentum in this series as he tries to even up the scores even further. As we know, if Brian does win this match, he will automatically go through to face Flacoco in the semifinals.
Now, one of the things that I'm like kind of skeptical about, right? Gorify is a Morty player. Sometimes the character switch really works out, and so we see Brian close out his first stock of the game. But sometimes the character switches work out. That being said, I still think Glorify as the Morty player. But I mean, he's kind of proving me wrong as he's up 2 stocks to 1 on the Rick, going up against Shaggy. And the Shaggy, like Brian, he's hard to get a lead against. So this switch up might be worth it for Glorify. I'm not entirely sure though.
We saw a really good use of that Airwalker perk. Something that has left a lot of people's repertoires after changes earlier in the year, but Glorify has been able to keep the value in it, as we do see Rick was exhausted, fully using up his stamina, providing the window Brian needed in order to get that elimination, and it's still rather close, 0 to 28, moving up now to 48 as Rick gets a really nice little combo there, but Brian absolutely still has the survivability and has the skill set in order to take this match away, bring it home. Rick now desperately fighting through, just trying to deal as much damage as possible. Has done very well at not taking much damage himself in this interaction. Brian trying to chip away slowly, but we are still 69 to 32, going up to 85 here. Brian really needs to start landing a couple of combos if he wants to get that match point and wants to go through 2 semis against Lakoko, who once again was automatically qualified for it. But unfortunately, Glorify is remaining a lot more stubborn. The switch to Rick here really was the missing piece of the puzzle, and a use of those portals, like we did see last week, was just enough to keep the combo going and does eliminate Brian. This match will continue 2-1 in favor of Brian G.
It might be the character switch really might have reinvigorated Glorify. Once again, I'm still a little skeptical. I know he just won a game, but it's Glorify. Glorify, I believe, being second or third in our rankings, riding the Morty train. But like the character switch, when you are in, I will say, when you're in the mode of, hey, I'm going to grind out, I know what to expect out of this character, and all of a sudden there being a new character on screen, sometimes it takes a game or two to kind of figure it out, as we see Brian Yee getting a huge advantage on this first stock, 65 to 0.
We're seeing Brian here understand the stakes of the match currently. He still is very much in winning position to go through to semi-finals. He cannot allow Glorify to get any more momentum. Going to a game 5 could be detrimental. It's really when the fatigue starts setting in. We do see Rick get exhausted, and once again that is the window that allows for Brian to get that elimination. One thing we are noticing from Glorify, the stamina management could definitely be the weakest link in the chain. A really nice use of the portal there, but doesn't get much in terms of value from it. 26 to 60 with 6 minutes just under left on the clock. Brian doing incredibly well to maintain the deficit. I believe that was another beautiful parry with a knee as well, and Brian absolutely solidifies his lead. Is able to get the supercharge as well. A really nice super kick there, getting Morty all the way up to 30. Rick, sorry, all the way up to 36. Brian on 70. I was doing this last week as well. Brian on 71, but gets a really nice little uppercut. Rick does answer back though. There is another parry. Just holds on, ricocheting him against the wall, no pun intended, and gets the elimination with the knee. Brian absolutely runs away with it there with a 3-1 victory against Glorify, going through the semi-finals against Coco.
Brian, what a Chad. What a Chad to just stand there and be like, you're going to choose an option that's not going to hit me, and I'm about to smack you in the face for it. What a honestly great sequence from Brian to make sure that he gets the upper hand against the Rick. There was a little bit of desperation coming out of Glorify, it looked like. Trying to catch Brian Yee's dash in. And the patented Yee patience really paying off there, as he kind of just waited out the Rick's dodge meter, making sure that they're in burnout, and then making sure, the Rick's gonna dash in so I can just punch him in the face, and that leads to a kill over and over again. We'll see if that leads into a W against our holiday themed Finn in Flakoko. Flakoko a little cold, possibly not getting to play a loser quarter final match. But this matchup we have not seen today quite yet. Flakoko not playing against any Shaggies. Theoretically, the Finn has a good matchup using that big sword, using the backpack to just box Shaggy out. That being said, it is up to the players to make sure that happens, as we see Brian Yee getting the first couple of hits, but Flakoko immediately saying, "Excuse me, sorry, hello? That's mine."
Absolutely, Flakoko is a fan favorite underdog here at Crap Media, and immediately showing why they belong in this tournament, why they belong at this level. A really nice counter though from Brian G. We see that knee a lot from him, and it does get a lot of value as he now really starts to apply the damage and trying to get that elimination on Flakoko. Maybe was looking for that uppercut there, didn't quite find enough to make it land. Flakoko at 98, Brian at 36. Really nice double axe handle there from above. And now Flakoko maybe trying to apply a bit of pressure themselves. Was able to counter the weak to get a second life down on Brian. Flakoko really started to run away with this momentum. Taken out 2 stocks with 109 on the heat level. Brian is going to get this elimination here and start evening up that score. But Flakoko is in a beautiful position. Brian able to get the supercharge up, but the kick does not land. Does hit the bicycle kick though, gets a little bit of the juggle going, but Brian again starts getting that damage in, and it is going to slowly stack over and over as time goes on. Flakoko really in a really safe position, potentially looking for that spike, does not land it unfortunately, and Brian is able to re-secure the edge, but tries to go for the super kick and doesn't quite land, perhaps a positioning maneuver, but does take a little bit of damage from it, and Flakoko gets the elimination, a clean sweep out of round 1. Point goes to Flakoko.
Somebody's hungry. Somebody's hungry and has a backpack full of coins.
Yeah, I haven't had breakfast yet.
As we see the rounded ear man scratching the back of his head, we are going to go into game 2. Flakoko really deciding that he is here to win everything. That him being in losers is kind of a fluke. And Brian Yee needs to do some soul searching. That was call out after call out after call out coming out of Flakoko. As we see even there, running off stage and just going for the dare there, but not quite landing much. We see them trading some small hits here, but Flakoko trying to catch out Brian's movement, but instead SD's off the bottom, not quite catching the side of the stage there, losing their life, but not letting it affect them too much as they try to close out the Shaggy stocks. Dancing around here. Ooh. Good movement from Flakoko. Not able to close out Brian's stock, but bringing him to a full 90.
Flakoko now really starting to dish out that damage once again. Brian G at 104 on heat. Very much encouraged at this point. Does land a really nice super kick, however. And another axe handle is going to keep Flakoko in check at least a little bit. Does get behind with the bag swing though, and gets the point back. 78 to a stock reset. The ironclad knee of Shaggy once again in full effect. Brian Knee is in the building. 95 going up to 44. I'm not going to claim that. I saw it in the chat. 95 to 44 here. A lot of that, and this is the thing that Flakoko is very good at doing. He's able to stack that damage incredibly quickly. And all of a sudden, already, it is switched again in terms of where the momentum is going. And it's all on Flakoko's side. 95 now to a stock reset. Brian is going to get that back, however. We're down to our final stock of the round. 5 minutes 10 on the clock. 2 stocks apiece. Flakoko being a point up desperately wants to try and get that lead going into round 3.
Yeah, as the same time we see that Brian is trying to make sure that no lead happens. Trying to even up the game count 1-1. That being said, Flakoko doing a valiant job closing the gap little by little, inch by inch, point by point of damage, as we see them dancing on opposite sides of the stage. Brian getting the jab, and that closing out the game.
I'm like splurging for Supreme.
Congratulations to Brian, finally closing out game 2. 1-1 Flakoko to Brian. That's
really good showing there from Brian, evening up that score almost immediately. You know, Flakoko did very well. I think we did definitely see that shift in momentum again. That's sort of Flakoko comeback that we see quite often.
Yeah.
But Brian, you know, is very adaptable, very flexible in the way that they play, and again, that very defensive style that they have. Unfortunately for Flakoko, does mean scores are going to be even. Going into round 3 here, again, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is best of 5, so both these guys trying to get that advantage going into round 4, which is guaranteed at this stage. Flakoko doing very well to guard the edge here. Shaggy using that super kick in order to get over the defenses of Finn. As we look at 48 to 45, 65, sorry. Still a very even matchup, 30 seconds into the match. And we see a really nice parry from Brian there. Flakoko is able to avoid the projectile, but it is not enough to save him as Brian takes the first point.
as we see a back and forth coming from the Finn and the Shaggy here. Flakoko hunting for their first stock. That being said, Brian doing a really good job of keeping it in his favor. Oh, good sequence from Flakoko to make sure to even up the game point here. But huge opportunity from Brian here. Decent amount of damage, 69 points. As they start dash dancing, the dodge attacks huge, but unable to capitalize anything much past the initial jabs. Of course, when I say that, Brian Yi goes up 2-1. Huge parry coming out of from Flakoko as they're dodging around the nairs, the stairs that the Shaggy is attempting to land with. If Flakoko is able to keep their advantage here and able to close out the stock of Shaggy, at least percent-wise, making sure they stay low, this is very easily possible from Flakoko, but Brian does not want that to happen. Brian finding their way back onto stage, being very aware of where Flakoko is, where the hurt boxes is, staying alive at 122, escaping into the blast zone at 122. So let's see what he can do. He gets parried from the super side B, and Flakoko is able to even up the stock count, and now it's anybody's game.
Absolutely. Really, really nice parry there from Flakoko. Absolutely needed in order to try and get this match back. Try and get that second point. Try and get that lead that they need going into round 4. Brian, though, has done a very, very good job of securing center stage. Very good job of keeping Flakoko in check, controlling the space. Really nice landing with the projectile there as well. Not quite enough to eliminate him, but enough to keep him on that side of the edge. Very good demonstration of a strong edge guard from Brian here. Flakoko was able to dodge the second projectile and is looking to break through, does with BMO. But Brian answers back with a really heavy punch. Flakoko coming through at a very high heat level here. 118 can be eliminated at any moment. Basically just needs to Hail Mary this, which we might be looking at. Brian was able to dodge out the combo though. Up with an uppercut, and that is going to be game 3. Point goes to Brian.
That was unfortunate. Honestly, I thought the BMO was going to come into play a little bit earlier and a little bit more aggressively. But Brian able to take advantage of the game state and close out game 3. Game 4, we are at the point of the set where mentality becomes a lot bigger part of the formula. Losers semis, if Fukoko isn't able to keep the mental, all of a sudden Brian Yi takes 3-1. But also, if Brian Yi gets a little bit too relaxed, then Flacoco's gonna bring it back, bring it to game 5, and all of a sudden it's a scary place to be if you are Brian Shaggy Yi. That being said, we see.
I feel like that was a lot less smooth than Brian Yi.
As you see Brian closing out the first stock in a dominant fashion. Starting up that second stock. Ooh.
That was a beautiful combination there from Brian. A wonderful follow-up with that knee. Was able to get the elimination. Has used his stamina fully though. It's going to be exhausted. It's going to allow for a window for Flakoko to start answering back. But Brian still there to answer every attempt. Flakoko makes us start stacking up that damage. Brian at 30 with all stocks remaining. Flakoko eliminated. And we end the semi-finals the way we started, with a complete sweep. Brian goes through to lower finals against Mott's 3-1. Very well done from Flakoko.
No. Brian, you can't do that to Flakoko. Brian! Excuse you?
It's a wonderful showing. A wonderful showing from both guys.
Excuse you. As we see Brian moving into losers finals to go up against the Mott's. Brian just deciding that he wanted to play today. Deciding that, you know what, I do have a chance. I'm gonna go all the way. We're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna play in losers finals. You know what? If Brian shows up in losers finals, he might show up in grand finals. He might take it all the way. That being said, Motts is not an easy person to go up against, as honestly, Motts is always my favorite to win any tournament that we're hosting.
I mean, there's a
Crash
reason.
Media.
There's a reason he's number 1 on the leaderboard. There's a reason he has as many points as he does. He really has put on a showing throughout the course of this season. Done very, very well. Having won 17 total sets within the confinements of season 1. 39 points total. A very commanding lead going up against Brian G, who is our 4th place competitor. Still has done very, very well for themselves. 12 total sets, won 22 points on the leaderboard. Has, again, both these guys done incredibly well, and they have faced each other more times than I can count, including our off season. And they have Motts, I believe, comes out on top a little more often than not, but it's not a massive disparity between wins and losses. This could honestly go either way, but you do need to consider the fact as well that you've got Ares waiting for you in grand finals after this. There is a lot of pressure going into this match. The winner will be decided in a best of 5 bout. The winner will go on to grand finals for the maximum amount of points and $50 as well.
As we wait for the lobby to load in, CJ, as my voice continues to crack. How are you? How are you doing? How's
Yeah.
life?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. It's a lovely way to close out the evening. Although I do believe we're getting word Mott's has decided fatigue is too much. It's completely understandable. So I believe Mott's has decided to call it quits this time, unfortunately. So I believe that is going to uh that's gonna confirm Brian as our grand finalist for our bracket. And that is going to secure Mott's 3rd place in terms of points. But we do thank Mott for showing up. But Brian, having worked very, very hard throughout the lower bracket, is going to go up against Eris. So we're going to get that set up for you now, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, these things kind of happen on the fly. We are adapting the best we can. Would have loved to see you perform, Motts, of course. Would have loved to see that finals match. I always love a Brian Motts showdown. But, needs must, health must come first, of course. Go look after yourself. We endorse that entirely. Brian, get yourself prepared because you have been automatically qualified for the grand finals of episode 7.
Honestly, I get it. I'm shopping for my 3 nieces. My sister sent me. She was like, "Hey, the girls want this thing," and I was like, "That thing's sold out at every Target in a 30-mile radius from where I live." True story. So I bought the next tier up, like the bigger option for both of my nieces, and I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry that I have created more mess in your house because I bought a bigger thing than you wanted, and that's my fault. That's my fault for waiting until the week before Christmas to buy your daughter's gifts, and I hope you can forgive me. I'm bringing desserts for Christmas dinner, so I feel like she should forgive me. How's your turkey coming, CJ? Your Christmas turkey that you British people do.
Yeah, because we don't have Thanksgiving, so we need an excuse to eat turkey at the end of the year.
You're saying that you're having disparaged the native group of people and need to create a whole holiday
Well,
to
no,
forgive yourself?
we do. We just don't celebrate it because there'd be too many. There're not enough days in the year for the amount of people that we've done that to in our history. So
Hey, CJ,
we just perpetually celebrate it because we're just that good.
hey, CJ, you're a good person and you are a great co-host to these tournaments. As we go into Rowdy Rough Boys versus Shaggy.
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a special rule in the grand finals of the tournament
For
here at
those
Crap
that don't know.
Media. For those that don't, I mean, I just assume that no one listens to anything we say.
That's
So,
fair.
So obviously, Eris, having won the upper bracket, has gotten himself an advantage in this matchup as we go into it on Trophy's Edge. Eris needs to win a best of 5, of course, but he only needs to win 1. If Brian is able to survive the gauntlet and wins the best of 5, the scores will be reset, and we will be forcing these guys to go through it one more time in another best of 5 bout in order to determine a true, unequivocated, undisputed winner. We're seeing a lot of damage come out here on both sides of the field. We got 61 to 79, rather even damage output from both guys, but we do see Eris with that edge control trying to set up for the Oxygen Select elimination we've been seeing constantly throughout the night. We have at least got a bit of a game on our hands. It's been almost a minute before we have a stock loss, which I personally love to see. We see a beautiful super kick there from Brian G, getting Eris into kill range very, very definitively. Both these guys dancing around the edge, and Brian potentially looking to finish off the first stock Eris has. 115 to 114, slightly in the favor of Brian G, and there is the uppercut to eliminate Eris first stock. Immediately answers back with elimination of their own. We are at 0-0 reset on stock 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I will remind you that Eris and Brian G had their initial match in the semifinals. That did go 3-2 in Eris's favor. So Brian is someone who can absolutely stand up to Eris's prowess when it comes to quick and efficient eliminations, as we've seen so far. Eris looking for another one, but Brian very well trained against Eris. The match is going to continue. 5 minutes 10 on the clock. 60, 60, 70.
Oh,
There's
no.
a second elimination. And now, very definitively, Eris has advantage going into this. Brian immediately evens it up, though. We're going into final stock of the round. Eris looking for that elimination. Super kick is going to save Brian. 4 minutes 50.
Oh no. I was gonna say that Brian's been a little bit greedy immediately after taking a stock, charging that super basically in the middle of the stage. But it has ended up evening out here. That being said, Eris huge capitalization off of the parry read. Eris taking a split second to let Brian parry, and then punishing accordingly, and launching Brian Yi into that right blast zone.
Very, very nice showing from Eris again, showing that pinpoint precision when it comes to eliminations. Going over to Sky Arena for round 2, and immediately we're seeing that aggressive opening from Brian that we see constantly. 40 damage off of the bat. Eris trying to answer back with a little bit of their own combo, but Brian continuing to break through. 52 to 19, going up to 70 to 19. We could be seeing a very early elimination in favor of Brian G here. As we're only sort of 20 seconds into the match, Eris finally getting a little bit of momentum, pushing back to the other end of the stage. Did go for the uppercut, but unfortunately did not follow through. Brian continuing to dish out the hurt now. 101 to 76 though. Eris definitely has a little bit of advantage, a little bit more control.
That was a good read from Brian, throwing out the parry. Fortunately for him, Eris whiffed slightly, making that parry a little bit whiffing just a tiny bit. That being said, Brian able to close out that first stock, now in a precarious position, trying to get a reversal off stage, getting a decent 37 points the heat onto the girls, or sorry, onto the boys. But honestly, these early points of damage don't feel like they matter when the rowdy rough boys just do that. When Shaggy's off stage, the boys are like, "Ew, look what's over there!" And Shaggy turns his head, and all of a sudden he's in the Nether Realm, and another one of him spawns.
Brian went for a beautiful double axe handle elimination there, and we're going to see basically 0-0 stock. Final stock of the round, we've seen this a lot when it comes to these two. A very, very even matchup. Brian desperately needs to try and capture this point if he wants to stay in the game. But of course, Eris very, very confident, perhaps looking for another elimination. 50 to 7 though. Brian once again running away with it when it comes to heat levels and damage, able to dish out devastating heavy combos, but did seem to exhaust himself a little bit there. Now Eris is going to take full advantage, immediately even it up a little bit to 54-83, continuing and perhaps going for that elimination. Hits that downward spike. Shaggy just able to survive it, both establishing themselves back on stage. Power Girls at 99. Eris definitely in a rough spot. Brian was able to ricochet them off the side of the stage. Brian gets their first point on the board when it comes to grand finals.
That is the first step to taking everything part one is definitely resetting the bracket, making sure that you win the first best of 5 to make sure that you have a chance to win the second best of 5. That being said, Eris, I don't know what their mentality is. I know a lot of people who are on the winner side take the pre-reset just kind of mentally a little bit kind of easy, right? And then once the reset happens, they take it fully seriously. As Brian really in the chat is criticizing me personally for calling him the wrong name.
I mean, I've been calling him Brian. I've been trying to call him Brian G as best I can. I've had a few slip-ups, and I do apologize to Brian.
That's my fault. I mean, that's
Yeah,
my fault.
absolutely.
And I'm doing it definitely to antagonize him, so you're fine.
Yeah, no, we know. It does look like still like very even on heat as we're about 40 seconds into this round. 88 to 74, and that is why they call him Brian Nee. That devastating blow, very nearly eliminating the power because they were able to stay alive just about. Brian at 99, Eris at 88, still very, very even as this match continues. So as platforms coming back to the center, when they reach that outermost point, it does really risky, as both these guys love playing around the edges of the map near that blast zone. Eris does get the initial elimination, but Brian answers right back with an uppercut to even up the points immediately. Once again, does not land the super kick, but does position himself in a somewhat decent place and has still avoided the majority of damage, still at 0 on his second stock. Meanwhile, Eris at 64 is in a much worse position, finally trying to get a little bit of damage on. But Brian, a beautiful edge out there, basically getting an entire stock off of Eris clean, and now absolutely momentum has shifted into Brian's favor. We could be seeing Champion's advantage trigger in full, as now Brian is in a little bit of a rough spot, but is able to establish himself on that platform and has dealt a lot of damage to Eris once again. Eris trying to look for that elimination, going for that top right corner like they had before. Unfortunately, Brian caught on the edge of stage there, and we're down to our final stop for both guys, 47-0.
A huge part of Champion's advantage, as you've so coined it, CJ, is that Eris closed that game. But what you really want to make sure is that Brian does not, if you are Eris, right, sitting on winner's side, sitting on the side where you don't want the shaggy player who's coming up from losers to get any momentum, you want to make sure that, like I said, you don't want to make sure that they get any momentum. If Brian Yee won 3 games in a row, all of a sudden, losers feels really scary. That being said, Eris doing a really, really good job of making sure to snub any momentum that Brian was trying to accumulate. That being said, Brian not being deterred, getting a decent amount of damage onto the girls and dodging out on so much damage off stage. 85 to 46. All of a sudden, a straight jab combo for Shaggy will kill the Rowdy Rough Boys. Or, you know what? A fully charged side B will also do the trick.
Nah, absolutely. That is really, really difficult there. As Brian does get that initial stock, desperately trying to stay alive in this series, trying to keep the grand finals going as long as possible. There's a beautiful uppercut from Eris, but Brian able to use that supercharge to stay alive, basically pausing his momentum in order to keep him on the edge of that blast zone. Eris definitely looking for that uppercut, but Brian was able to reach it. That second one, though, is gonna follow through, and Eris has evened up the life count at least 27-0 as we get this second stock from Brian, who once again tries to establish that edge guard as best he can. Follows through with another beautiful elimination with the use of the knee there. Also is able to pull off the supercharge And now it looks like Ares is going to be looking to try and get another elimination quickly to even out the playing field. Brian was able to use that super kick of his to get away from the deadly combo for the most part. 29 to 42, 2 lives to 1. Everything is looking Brian.
That being said, we see every time Shaggy is off stage, Eris does such a good job of closing out stocks, bringing the stock count 2-2. As we see Brian getting punished for hitting the parry button. Like I said, Eris is really good at waiting for any amount of damage, waiting for any amount of hit lag, just lag in general, to make sure that they can punish whether it's Brian Yee or anybody else for hitting the parry button, for hitting a dodge button, for trying to swing with a lagging move like the up attack or the up special that Shaggy has here. Good dash dance into the combo, punishing Brian Yee for attempting to catch the dash attack of Eris. Good showing from Brian.
Very, very good showing from Brian.
But
Did a wonderful job there.
Eris really came to play. That's the difference sometimes, is that the person who wants to be number one shows up like they want to be number one. Congratulations to Eris. Brian putting on a great showing, unable to hold on to their title as Cracked Media Singles Champion. That being said, what do you say, honestly? That being said,
Eris did incredibly well
congratulations.
all
Yeah.
night. Absolutely well done. Everybody did incredibly well all night. Brian obviously fought very hard to get to, hadn't been eliminated in the initial semi-finals match, the Sharp and Grand Finals, after trudging through the lower bracket. Incredibly well done. Eris put on an incredible showing all night long, put on some of the best matches. I still think the original Brian G versus Eris from semi-finals was probably match of the night for me. But put on that dominating display from against Mott's in upper finals as well. Everyone did incredibly good. And it was a wonderful tournament, but unfortunately, Quang, for you, or fortunately, I guess, as good as this tournament was, I'm very glad that we were able to have, because this will be my last time on the desk for MultiVersus. And so Eris, thank you for putting on a beautiful show. Unfortunately, I'm still going to be around in Crap Media. There are other tournaments.
Sevens in the chat for CJ Zephyr in MultiVersus. 07s in the chat for one of the greatest duos to ever hit commentary.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I've loved being here. I've loved doing it. I'm not leaving. I'm going to be doing other stuff around Cracked. Obviously, we still have like other stuff on Cracked that we're doing. We have other tournaments that I might be commentating, potentially not. I can't discuss it because Justin made me sign an NDA in blood. But there are other projects on Cracked Media that I will still be a part of. But in terms of MultiVersus, there are other sort of arrangements and commitments that I have throughout the course of weekends where me being up this late is just unfortunately no longer viable. But it has been an absolute joy. And like I say, you'll be able to catch me on all the other Crap Media stuff. And also, I'm going to take this chance to plug, fuck it. If anyone ever needs any videos edited, let me know. I will do that for you. I'm good. I'm good at stuff. It's been great. I've loved commentating all of you guys. It's always been a lot of fun. But for one last time, ladies and gentlemen, and new MultiVersus champion here at Crack Media. Congratulations to Eris for fighting through the trenches, running the gauntlet, and doing all the hard work. You've done incredibly well. It's been an honor to watch you all fight, and I will see you elsewhere on the internet.
Have a good night, everyone. Quingy out.